Beneath the frozen wasteland, the biting Antarctic wind cut through Marcus Chin's thermal suit like frozen knives as he approached the wreckage of Research Station Alpha 7 3 days ago. The facility had gone dark during what should have been a routine equipment upgrade. Now, twisted metal and shattered glass marked where humanity's most advanced polar research center once stood. Marcus pulled his toolkit closer to his chest, the familiar weight of his engineering equipment providing comfort in the desolate landscape. At 45, he had seen enough disasters to know that most equipment failures were caused by human error, not mysterious forces. His weathered hands had fixed everything from Mars colony life support systems to deep-sea mining rigs. This job should have been simple. Dr. Sarah Voss emerged from behind a collapsed wall section, her breath forming clouds in the -40 air. As the expedition's xenobiologist, she seemed oddly excited about what appeared to be a straightforward rescue and repair mission. Her dark eyes sparkled with curiosity as she examined her readings. "Marcus, you need to see this," she called out, waving a scanner that beeped frantically. "The energy readings I'm getting don't match anything in our databases. This isn't just a power failure." Marcus trudged through the snow to join her, his boots crunching on ice that seemed strangely warm beneath his feet. The scanner in Sarah's hands displayed patterns he had never seen before, energy signatures that pulsed in complex rhythms, almost like a heartbeat. "Equipment malfunction," he suggested, though something deep in his engineer's instincts told him otherwise. Sarah shook her head. "I've run diagnostics 3 times. The readings are consistent, and they're coming from directly beneath us. About 200 meters down, something is generating massive amounts of energy." The other team members were still searching through the surface wreckage, but Marcus found himself drawn to Sarah's discovery. In his years of engineering work, he had learned to trust unusual readings. They often led to the most important breakthroughs. "Let's go deeper," Marcus decided. "If something down there caused this disaster, we need to understand what we're dealing with." They made their way to the station's lower levels, following emergency lighting that flickered weakly in the damaged corridors. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became. By the time they reached the basement level, Marcus had unzipped his outer thermal layer. The basement had been carved directly into the ice and bedrock, creating a natural cave system that the research station had utilized for storage. But now, one wall of the cave glowed with a soft blue light that pulsed in the same rhythm as Sarah's scanner readings. "This is impossible," Sarah whispered, approaching the glowing wall. "Ice doesn't emit light like this. The molecular structure would have to be completely different." Marcus pulled out his engineering scanner and ran it along the wall. The readings made his blood run cold. The wall wasn't ice at all. It was some kind of metallic compound that had been disguised to look like natural ice formation. Someone or something had gone to great lengths to hide what lay beyond. "Sarah, step back," Marcus warned as he examined the seams in the false wall. His trained eye could see where sections connected, almost like a door that had been sealed for an extremely long time. The walls suddenly shuddered, and a section slid away with a sound like grinding crystal. Beyond the opening lay a corridor that stretched into darkness, its walls covered in symbols that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Cool air flowed from the opening, carrying scents that reminded Marcus of ozone and something else he couldn't identify. Sarah's scanner went wild, beeping so rapidly the individual sounds blurred together. "We should call the surface team," Sarah said, but her feet were already moving toward the opening. Marcus grabbed her arm gently. "Wait, let me go first. I've dealt with unknown technology before. He pulled out a portable work light and stepped into the corridor. The walls were smooth as glass, made from the same material as the false ice wall. As they walked deeper, the symbols on the walls began to glow more brightly, as if responding to their presence. The corridor opened into a vast chamber that took Marcus's breath away. The space was enormous, easily the size of a football stadium, with a domed ceiling that seemed to stretch up forever. But what dominated the chamber were the pods. Hundreds of crystalline containers filled the space, each one containing a vaguely humanoid figure suspended in some kind of fluid. The beings inside were tall and graceful, with elongated limbs and features that were unmistakably intelligent but alien. "My God," Sarah breathed. "They're alive. The bio-readings are faint, but they're definitely alive." Marcus moved between the pods, his engineer's mind cataloguing the sophisticated life support systems that kept the beings in stasis. Technology beyond anything humanity had achieved, yet he could understand the basic principles. Pumps, filters, monitoring systems. The fundamentals were universal. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform with what appeared to be a control system. As Marcus approached, lights began to activate across its surface. Symbols appeared in holographic displays, cycling through what looked like different languages before settling on clear English text. Guardian Protocol activated, the display read. Human genetic signature confirmed. Initiating emergency revival sequence. "Marcus, what did you do?" Sarah asked as the chamber filled with new sounds, pumps activating. Systems coming online after what must have been centuries of dormancy. "I didn't do anything," Marcus replied. But he stepped back from the control platform as one of the pods began to drain. The being inside opened eyes that glowed with the same blue light as the corridor walls. It was tall, nearly 7 feet, with skin that seemed to shimmer like polished metal. When it spoke, its voice filled the chamber without seeming to come from any particular direction. "Human engineer," it said in perfect English. "You have arrived sooner than our calculations predicted, but not sooner than our fears." Marcus found his voice. "Who are you? What is this place?" "We are the keepers," the being replied as it stepped from the pod with fluid grace. "For 50,000 of your years, we have been the guardians of this world, protecting your species while you developed the strength and wisdom needed for what comes next." Sarah stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "Protecting us from what?" The keeper's expression grew grave. "From an ancient enemy that consumes entire civilizations, leaving nothing but empty worlds in their wake. We fought them across 100 star systems before making our stand here, at the edge of your solar system." The central display changed, showing images of space battles on a scale that dwarfed human imagination. Massive ships exchanging energy weapons that could crack planets, entire star systems being consumed by some kind of dark energy. "We won that battle," the keeper continued, "but the cost was severe. Our numbers were reduced to these few hundred, and our technology was damaged beyond immediate repair. We entered hibernation, waiting for Earth's dominant species to develop sufficient capability to take our place as guardians." Marcus stared at the images of destruction. "You're saying we're supposed to replace you?" "Humanity isn't ready for that kind of responsibility." "Perhaps not," the keeper acknowledged, "but ready or not, the time has come. Our long-range sensors have detected the Devourer's return. They have spent 50 millennia rebuilding their forces, and now they come to finish what they started." Sarah's scanner was picking up new energy signatures throughout the facility. Marcus's systems are activating all over the structure. This place is huge. It extends 4 kilometers in every direction. The keeper nodded. This is only one of 12 facilities we established around your planet. Each contains knowledge, weapons, and technology that humanity will need for the coming war. But first, you must prove that your species has evolved beyond the primitive impulses that would make you unworthy guardians. Marcus felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders like a physical burden. What kind of proof? The same proof we required of ourselves, the keeper replied. You must demonstrate that you can work together across all the divisions that separate your people. The Devourers are not just physically powerful, they corrupt and divide their enemies, turning them against each other. Only unity can defeat them. The display showed a map of Earth with 11 other locations marked in red. The other facilities will only respond to humans who approach them together, different nationalities, different cultures, different ways of thinking, working as one. This is not a test of your weapons or your courage. It is a test of your wisdom. Sarah looked at Marcus with new understanding. That's why the research station was built here. The energy readings we've been detecting for months, they weren't natural phenomena. They were signals from this facility, trying to attract the right kind of attention. The station's destruction was not our intention, the keeper said solemnly. Our systems are old and damaged. We have been slowly losing the ability to maintain precise control. Time is running short. Marcus walked to the chamber's edge, looking out over the hundreds of hibernating keepers. Each one represented knowledge and experience beyond human comprehension, yet they were depending on humanity to carry on their mission. How long do we have? He asked. 18 of your months, the keeper replied. Perhaps less. The Devourers move slowly but inexorably. When they arrive, they will not announce themselves with diplomacy or negotiation. They will begin consuming your world immediately. The chamber suddenly filled with alarms as new displays activated. The keeper moved quickly to the central console, its long fingers dancing over controls that responded to its touch. What's happening? Sarah demanded. Long-range sensors have detected an advanced scout, the keeper said, its voice tight with urgency. The Devourers are already probing your system's defenses. The timeline has accelerated. Marcus felt his engineer's instincts take over. In crisis situations, theory mattered less than practical solutions. What do we need to do right now, today, to start preparing? The keeper looked at him with what might have been approval. You ask the right questions, human engineer. First, you must learn to interface with our technology. Your methods of problem-solving are different from ours, sometimes more effective. Second, you must contact the others who will respond to the facility signals. And third, you must begin the process of awakening the Guardians who sleep in the other 11 locations. Sarah was already taking readings on the various systems throughout the chamber. Marcus, this technology, it's not just advanced, it's adaptable. Look at these interface points. They're changing configuration to match human physiology. Marcus examined the nearest control surface. Sarah was right. The controls were reshaping themselves to fit human hands, and the symbols were becoming more familiar, incorporating elements of human engineering notation. The system learns, the keeper explained. It has been observing your species for millennia, understanding how you think and work. This adaptation process will accelerate now that direct contact has been established. There's something else, Sarah said, pointing to a series of smaller displays. I'm reading similar energy signatures from facilities on every continent. They're all activating simultaneously. The Keeper's expression showed both hope and concern. The awakening cannot be stopped now. Across your world, humans with the necessary combination of skills and character are being drawn to the sites. But so are others who would use this power for conquest rather than protection. Marcus understood immediately. We're in a race, not just against the Devourers, but against anyone who would turn these weapons against Earth itself. Precisely, the Keeper confirmed. The next phase of human evolution begins now, with this choice. Will your species rise to become galactic guardians, or will you destroy yourselves before the Devourers arrive to finish the task? The weight of the decision pressed down on Marcus and Sarah as they stood in the vast chamber, surrounded by sleeping guardians and technology beyond their comprehension. The fate of not just humanity, but potentially countless other developing civilizations, now rested in human hands. Outside, the Antarctic wind continued to howl, but down in the chamber, the real storm was just beginning. When Guardians fall, humans rise 3 weeks after the discovery in Antarctica. Marcus Chen stood in what had once been the United Nations General Assembly Hall, now converted into humanity's first interplanetary war room. Representatives from every nation sat alongside awakened keepers from 5 of the 12 facilities that had been successfully activated. The remaining 7 locations had fallen to various human factions who sought to claim the alien technology for themselves. Dr. Sarah Voss approached Marcus with a grim expression, her tablet displaying the latest intelligence reports. The situation is getting worse. The Chinese military has sealed off the Tibet facility, and the consortium that took the Australian site is already reverse engineering weapons systems. Marcus nodded grimly as he studied the holographic display that dominated the center of the room. The Keeper technology had merged seamlessly with human computers, creating a real-time map of Earth's defenses. Red zones marked the locations where human governments or corporations had claimed Keeper facilities for national advantage. Green zones showed the sites where international cooperation was working. The division spreads like a virus, said Keth, the Keeper who had first awakened in Antarctica. Its tall form stood beside Marcus, blue glowing eyes focused on the tactical display. This is precisely how the Devourers defeated the Althari Empire, by encouraging the component species to fight each other instead of the true threat. Sarah pulled up a new set of readings. It gets worse. The scout ship we detected 3 weeks ago wasn't alone. Long-range sensors are showing at least a dozen more probes entering the outer solar system. They're studying our defenses, learning our capabilities. Marcus felt the familiar weight of responsibility that had driven him through every crisis of his career. But this time, the stakes weren't just a failed mining operation or a broken life support system. This was the survival of human civilization and potentially every other developing species in the galaxy. Keth Moore, you said the Keeper's technology adapts to different users. What if we approach this problem like engineers instead of politicians? The Keeper tilted its head in a gesture that had become familiar over the past weeks. Explain your thinking, human engineer. Marcus walked to the central display and began manipulating the holographic controls. Look at the pattern of successful facilities versus the compromised ones. The green zones all have one thing in common. They were activated by diverse teams, working together: scientists, engineers, military personnel, civilians. The red zones were all claimed by single authority groups. Sarah's eyes lit up with understanding. The technology itself is encouraging cooperation. It's not just adapting to human physiology, It's adapting to human social structures. Precisely, Marcus continued, highlighting patterns in the data. Every time a facility tries to interface with a homogeneous group, the technology becomes less effective, but when diverse teams work together, the systems become more powerful than the sum of their parts. Kethmore moved closer to examine the display. Your observation is correct, but incomplete. The technology is not just encouraging cooperation, it is creating an entirely new form of consciousness. A hybrid of human creativity and keeper knowledge. The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. You're saying we're not just learning to use your technology, we're evolving into something new. The Devourers have never faced such a combination, Kethmore confirmed. Our species was ancient and wise, but set in our ways. Your species is young and chaotic, but incredibly adaptable. Together, we become something that neither could achieve alone. Sarah was already running calculations on her tablet. If we can get the remaining facilities online with cooperative teams, the combined network effect could give us capabilities that even the Keepers never had. Marcus studied the tactical display, his engineer's mind working through the problem like a complex system repair. We need to think about this differently. Instead of trying to convince the holdout factions to cooperate, what if we demonstrate the superior effectiveness of the cooperative approach? How? Sarah asked. Marcus began highlighting specific points on the global map. The Devourer scouts are probing our defenses systematically. They're looking for weak points, testing our response capabilities. What if we give them something unexpected to analyze? Kethmore's eyes brightened with interest. You propose to use their own intelligence gathering against them. Exactly. We coordinate a demonstration using only the cooperative facilities. Show the Devourers that Earth's defenses are based on principles they've never encountered. And show the human holdouts that cooperation isn't just morally superior, it's tactically superior. Sarah was already pulling up system specifications. The 5 Green Zone facilities have been developing hybrid technologies. Keeper energy systems combined with human manufacturing techniques, human computer algorithms merged with Keeper processing power. Some of the results are extraordinary. Marcus walked to the nearest interface point and placed his hand on the sensor. Immediately, his consciousness expanded beyond the confines of the assembly hall. He could feel the other for cooperative facilities as if they were extensions of his own body, each one humming with the combined efforts of human teams and awakened. Keepers dot through the Beijing facility. He sensed Dr. Liu Wei and her team working on gravitational manipulation systems. The London facility showed him Commander Jackson's work on adaptive armor technology. From the Snow Paulo facility came the excitement of Dr. Santos's breakthrough in quantum communication networks. And from the Nairobi facility, he felt the steady determination of Engineer Okafor's work on self-repairing infrastructure. Sarah, connect to the network, Marcus said, his voice carrying new harmonics as the Keeper technology amplified his words. You need to see this. Sarah hesitated for a moment, then placed her hand on an adjacent sensor. Her gasp echoed through the chamber as her consciousness joined the expanding network. Through the global connection, she could see the true scope of what they were building. It's not just technology, she whispered. It's a new form of civilization. Every facility that comes online adds not just more processing power, but entirely new ways of thinking. Kethmore joined the network, and suddenly Marcus could feel the depth of the Keeper's experience. 50,000 years of watching and learning, combined with the desperate hope that humanity would prove worthy of the trust being placed in them. Through the network, They watched as the nearest Devourer scout ship approached Mars. The alien vessel was massive, easily the size of a human city, its hull covered in sensors that swept the inner solar system with methodical precision. "Now," Marcus said, his voice carrying across the network to all 5 facilities simultaneously. The demonstration began with a subtle shift in Earth's electromagnetic signature, using principles that combined human understanding of quantum mechanics with Keeper mastery of space-time manipulation. The 5 facilities created a coordinated pulse that reached across the solar system in seconds. The pulse wasn't a weapon, it was a message. Encoded within the energy pattern was a mathematical proof that no single species could have developed. It required the chaotic creativity of human thought merged with the patient wisdom of Keeper knowledge. The message was simple: we are not what you expect. The Devourer scout ship's response was immediate and telling. Its sensory sweeps became more focused, more urgent. The ship began transmitting data back toward the edge of the solar system at a rate that suggested genuine concern. But the demonstration wasn't over. Working together through the network, the 5 facilities began to showcase capabilities that surprised even Kethmore. Dr. Liu's gravitational systems created localized space-time distortions around Jupiter, temporarily hiding 3 of the planet's moons. Commander Jackson's adaptive armor technology was applied to the moon itself, creating a camouflaged surface that would be nearly invisible to standard detection methods. Dr. Santos's quantum communication network allowed instantaneous coordination between all 5 facilities, creating a response time that made the entire system appear to operate as a single massive entity. An engineer, Okafor's self-repairing technology began to reshape the Antarctic facility in real time, creating new configurations that had never existed in Keeper designs. Through the network, Marcus felt the amazement of his fellow humans and the growing hope of the awakened Keepers. But he also sensed something else: the attention of the human factions that had claimed the other 7 facilities. "They're watching," Sarah said, through the network connection. "The Beijing military installation, the Australian consortium, the European Union facility in the Alps. They can't ignore what we're achieving." Marcus felt a moment of hope, but Kethmore's presence in the network carried a warning. "The Devourers are also watching, and they are learning. Your demonstration shows them that Earth's defenses are unlike anything they have faced, but it also reveals the nature of those defenses. They will adapt their approach accordingly." Through the long-range sensors, they watched as the scout ship completed its data transmission and began to change course. But instead of fleeing the solar system, it moved toward the outer asteroid belt, taking a position that would allow it to observe Earth's defenses while remaining relatively hidden. "They're not retreating," Marcus realized. "They're preparing for a siege." Sarah's analysis confirmed his fears. The scout ship is deploying sensor platforms throughout the asteroid belt. They're creating a monitoring network to track everything we do. "This is the pattern," Kethmore explained through the network. "The Devourers do not simply attack, they study, they infiltrate, they corrupt. The next phase will be attempts to turn human factions against each other." As if summoned by the Keeper's words, alerts began flooding in from around the globe. The Australian consortium had detected the demonstration and was demanding access to the cooperative network. The Chinese military was mobilizing forces toward the Beijing facility. Corporate interests in North America were pressuring governments to seize control of the cooperative facilities. "The division accelerates," Marcus said grimly, just like Kethmore warned. But Sarah was studying patterns in the data that gave her a different perspective. "Wait," Look at the response from the non-aligned facilities. They're not all moving toward confrontation. She highlighted several data points on the global display. The Tibet facility is sending encrypted messages to Beijing. The Alpine facility has scientists who are openly advocating for cooperation. Even the Australian consortium has internal divisions. Marcus felt a spark of the same intuition that had guided him through countless engineering challenges. The network effect isn't just happening in the cooperative facilities. It's happening everywhere. The technology is active. The keeper systems are designed to encourage cooperation, Sarah added. Even the factions that think they're using the technology for competitive advantage are being influenced by its underlying principles. Through the network, they felt Kethmore's equivalent of a smile. Your species continues to surprise us. You see possibilities that our ancient minds had not considered. Marcus began to formulate a new strategy. What if we extend the network to include the holdout facilities? Not by force or politics, but by making cooperation the obviously superior choice. How? Sarah asked. By showing them what they're missing, Marcus replied. Every facility that joins the network doesn't just add its capabilities, it multiplies the capabilities of every other facility. The mathematics are irrefutable. Over the following days, the strategy began to show results. The cooperative network continued to develop new hybrid technologies at an accelerating rate. Breakthrough followed breakthrough as human creativity merged with keeper knowledge in ways that neither species could have achieved alone. Dr. Liu's team in Beijing developed gravity-based manufacturing, techniques that could build structures in space without the need for traditional materials. Commander Jackson's London facility created adaptive defense systems that could reconfigure themselves to counter any weapon. Santosinso. Paolo established quantum communication links that allowed instantaneous coordination across galactic distances. The capabilities demonstration had its intended effect. One by one, the holdout facilities began to request access to the cooperative network. First came the Alpine facility, whose scientists had convinced their government that cooperation was the only path to survival. Then the Tibet facility, whose operators had grown increasingly uncomfortable with their isolation. By the end of the month, 9 of the 12 facilities had joined the network. Only the Australian consortium, a private military company in Africa, and a Russian oligarch's facility in Siberia remained outside the cooperative framework. But the Devourers had not been idle. The scout ship in the asteroid belt had been joined by others, creating a monitoring network that tracked Earth's every defense development. More concerning, long-range sensors detected larger ships approaching from the edge of the solar system. The main fleet is still months away, Kethmore reported during one of the network sessions, but advanced forces are accelerating their approach. The Devourers have decided that Earth represents a significant enough threat to warrant immediate attention. Marcus felt the weight of leadership settling on his shoulders. Through the network, he could sense the hopes and fears of humans and keepers across the globe. The cooperative facilities had achieved remarkable things, but they were still only 9 out of 12. The missing 3 facilities represented critical gaps in Earth's defensive coverage. We need those last 3 facilities, Sarah said through the network. The mathematical models show that the network effect requires a minimum threshold of participation to be truly effective against a Devourer invasion. Then we'll have to convince them, Marcus replied. Not with politics or diplomacy, but with the one argument that transcends all human divisions, which is, Sarah asked. Marcus reached out through the network, feeling the pulse of human civilization. as it began its transformation into something new and unprecedented. Survival? When the Devourers arrive, there won't be any corporations or nations or oligarchs. There will only be humanity, and whether we're strong enough together to defend not just our world, but our future as galactic guardians. The network hummed with determination as the message spread to every connected facility. The final phase of preparation was about to begin, and with it, humanity's first test as the galaxy's newest guardians.